Hey, welcome back to Steve Reads the Comic. What's up, fellas?
Hey. I just spilled beer on my pants, but other than that, I'm doing fine.
Yeah, I put the lock on my chair so I rock less. I was watching little clips on YouTube, and I'm just like, because of my ADHD, I'm just always in motion, just always fidgeting. I'm like, all right, I gotta lock my chair down. I'll probably just start rotating instead.
Right, it's gonna that motion it has to find a way, an outlet
Right,
somewhere.
I got to get it out. I'll just play with myself down here where you can't see. I'll just.
Yeah. Hey, when in Knight Rider, when Michael Knight hit the sky mode button, do either of you two know what the car did when he hit sky mode?
I do not know.
Did it jump?
That was Turbo Boost. I know Turbo Boost was to jump.
I didn't know there was a sky mode.
There's also Super Pursuit mode. Do you remember that?
Was that just like super fast? Or like an engine would come out the back or something, or no?
Yeah, like different like aerodynamic panels would pop up and stuff, and you go super fast. But sky mode, I was talking to somebody at work about this, and he didn't know, and I just thought it was general knowledge. He was like, "No, dude, I was too busy trying to get laid." I was like, "I'll give you that." I was like,
"80s? How old is this guy?"
Oh, he's older than me, but not too much older. But I was like, I'll give you that. But yeah, sky mode is he didn't know it either, so I was just shocked. It's when the car went up on two wheels, so he could avoid like a missile or something, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I was just like, oh, I thought everybody knew that. I guess not.
No, I didn't remember that.
I didn't get to watch a lot of Knight Rider, due to circumstances. I saw
not having a TV.
Yeah, not being allowed to watch television and watch certain shows and all that kind of stuff. But I did see some episodes. I tried to. It's on Netflix now, and when it came out on Netflix, I started to watch it, and I was like, I don't want to watch this. It's fucking terrible. It's terrible 80s TV.
It doesn't.
And I don't.
It doesn't hold up.
Yeah. Well, I don't have the nostalgia goggles for it. Like I liked it when I was a little kid, but I only saw so many episodes, and I don't know. It's okay. It's very Murder, She Wrote, which Maggie loves Murder, She Wrote, though. Like that episodic, killer of the week or bad guy of the week or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that. I still love that car. Is that a Firebird, Trans Am? What was that?
That was a Trans Am, I thought.
Trans Am.
Pontiac Trans Am.
Yeah. I like the Smokey and the Bandit Trans Am.
That was a Firebird, though, right? Smokey and the Bandit? Because he had the big Phoenix on the front.
I like that style.
Gotcha.
I don't like the...
I've never seen that.
They crunched it up.
I've never seen Smokey and the Bandit.
I saw it when I was little. I don't remember it, though. I remember being on TV a lot at my grandparents' house.
I feel like
I had a Hot Wheels car of the Smokey and the Bandit Firebird.
So, was that movie any good or what?
It was
back
popular.
in the 70s. It was. I don't know how it holds up today.
Is that like a Fast and the Furious back then or something?
Yeah,
it was. I don't. Well, didn't they? It wasn't about a rig, too, or what am I thinking of?
Yeah, had to get there. You got a long way to go and a short time to get there.
We got a big old car.
We're going to do what they say. It can't be done. There you go. That's the premise.
Burt Reynolds, Sally Field, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And the singer, what's that guy's name?
Add it to the list. Right after Purple Rain, I'm going to watch Smokey and the Bandit.
Purple Rain, Purple Rain. I do like that song a lot. Dude, I saw they're coming out with a 1/3 scale statue of Prince in all his purple glory.
Nice. Did you pre-order it?
That'll still only be about a foot tall. Because he was only like 4'9".
That's not right.
He was pretty short, though. Rob's right. Yeah. You didn't get? Did you buy that Harry Potter statue I showed you?
Oh, I got 3 of them.
With him riding Buckbeak?
Fuck
I sent Sean this statue, Harry Potter riding that mythical owl bird or whatever called Buckbeak.
Yeah.
And Sean's like, it looks like he's trying to fuck his head. I was like, it does. He's like got his back arched and he's got his hands out and then
and he's making an O face. He's like,
yeah, he's like, oh.
He is climaxing in that bird's head.
Somebody's got that. Somebody's pre-ordering that. What you guys been doing? How's your week? Rob's going to a metal concert tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot. You going to 200 Stab Wounds?
Yeah. Got tickets.
Yeah.
Haven't got my earplugs yet.
Get your earplugs.
Get your earplugs.
I am so excited for you guys to go to that. Is it just you and Aiden? And you talk anybody else into it?
No.
Yeah.
Just me and Aiden.
Yeah.
Remember, there's going to be some violence. Just, try to brush most of it off. Unless you get some asshole who just keeps doing the same shit over and over, then you might have to punch somebody.
Aiden's going to come back.
Fucking black eye. Big sigh from Rob.
Yeah.
Just stay towards the back. You'll be fine.
Can't
you watch that footage I sent of the show I went to in December?
No.
You didn't watch that?
Where did you send it?
I just texted it to you guys. I texted it to you and Aiden. I was like, check out this footage. And there was a video.
I don't remember.
There's just bodies flying everywhere.
Might have just sent it to Aiden.
So with the smaller clubs like that, there's typically no security. So people are pressed right up against the stage, and there are people jumping on the stage and then jumping into the audience, stage diving, body surfing. That's
Where's
why I
it
suggest
at?
Growlers.
Where's it at, Rob?
Right across the street from Overland Park.
It's called Growlers.
Oh yeah,
it's
that's
right next to the gas station there.
Yeah, it's real small.
Yeah, that's what I was asking Keith. He said it goes way back, but
I was there once with Keith when it was called the High Tone.
Yeah.
Yeah. We saw, I forget what band we saw now, Bottle Rockets, I think. one of Keith's bands. Like a country rock band. But yeah, it was a fairly small place, but it was a completely different vibe, obviously, at that show.
So how rough, how heavy is this? Pretty heavy? Is it going to be a...
Dude, I'll send you the video. Like I sent video to you guys. It's fucking great, man. Like it's
Rob and Aiden, not me. They're gonna be all right. They're gonna be good.
Be fine. Yeah, dude, it's fine. It was the first show I saw somebody actually climb up the pipes on the wall and jump off the wall into the audience. I'd never seen that in real life before. I've seen it in music videos.
That's gonna be Aiden. Come on, Dad. Let's go.
Let me see if I can find. I'll send it to you later. But yeah, it's gonna be a good time, man. 200 Stab Wounds is the shit. They're from Cleveland. They're a death metal band, and they sound old school, even though they're young dudes, man. They're like just probably a little older than Logan.
Do they sing like?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Great.
You didn't even take a listen before you went. You just bought tickets.
Aiden wanted to go.
I got Aiden into 200 Stab Wounds. Very proud. That's my son from another mother and father.
Aiden got his ACT scores back. I do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, Aiden did great, man.
How'd he do? You want to share or no?
He got a 30. It's the first time
nice.
he took it.
What is it, like 33 or 35 is the highest or something? I don't remember.
35, I think.
Is it? I never
He's
took
in
the
the
ACT.
93rd percentile.
Fuck yeah. So let him go see a death metal band.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
All right.
Spread the knowledge. Well,
that's so
great.
Everyone's excited but Rob. That sounds great, man. I think you're going to have a great time.
Yeah.
So Chimera has 2 reunion shows coming up this month. The 12th and the 13th at the Agora. They're sold out. And Mark put me on the guest list for both shows with a +1.
Nice.
I'm going to take Brad, my friend Brad, to one, and then I'm going to take Logan to the other one. I don't know where our seats are. I'm hoping they're in the balcony. Then those, not in the balcony, but in like those like opera boxes or parapets or whatever they're called.
High society. Nice.
Well, just away from others.
Rob's going to be in the bathroom at this show. He's like, I got to get out of here.
But yeah, it's cool. I've never been guest listed for a show before, so it's
have
pretty
his
tight.
Little spectacles with the handle.
Yeah,
yeah.
Fuck yeah, my little monocular.
Binoculars with the. Hey, I watched Beef. I watched the whole.
Oh, did you watch it?
Yeah. Did you watch all of that yet, Rob?
No, but you can talk about it.
You sure? It's pretty good, man. You should check it out. This is fucked up too.
it went dark and went down a different path than I expected, but I love the ending.
I did too. And the ending was, it was, you know, they were basically tripping on bad berries for most of that last episode. And
Right.
I was like, this, you know, this is going on too long. But then the longer it went on, the more it made sense, you know? And then the very end was great.
Right.
It's fantastic.
Did you immediately go listen to Smashing Pumpkins after that or no?
No, but I have listened to it, Mayonnaise, since then.
Yeah, it's my favorite fucking Pumpkin song. I fucking love that song.
Yeah, lots of twists and turns in that series. It was fun. I definitely recommend it.
I did. I am caught up on Barry. You can't ask.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Rob, you caught up on Barry. Nice. What are you thinking?
What's his name in the back? The assassin. Yeah, that was funny.
It wasn't that great.
Oh, Fred Armisen.
Yeah.
All I could think of was Bill Burr when that face, you know, when he talks about being so old you can't move. Yeah, that's all I could think of.
Did you see this week's? Did you see this week's too, man? Dude, I thought when this episode ended, I was like, is the series over? There's 4 more episodes.
Yeah,
I thought at first they wrapped up the whole thing. I'm like, I guess they did kind of wrap up everybody's story. Yeah. But dude, this show gets better episode by episode. It just gets better. I
thought Cristobal was dead. I thought it's like, damn,
right?
They just killed Cristobal.
They did kill him.
He's like,
he's talking about in the sand thing.
No, in the sand pit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm pretty sure he's dead.
Yeah, and then they just brought him back for like 5 minutes just to kill him again.
Yeah.
Those two are great though. Like,
I like
you don't expect to get caught up so much in the drama because there's so much comedy. But then I'm like, why am I feeling for these two characters that are mostly comedic, you know? But at the same time, I'm like, man, these are 2 great performances, and they did a good job just character building and the writing, man. I was like, I can't believe I'm feeling for these 2 goofballs right now, you know?
And then they did the deep fake where they had the guy out of like blurry walking behind in a white shirt that Cristobal had on, you know? And you're like, oh, maybe he did make it, because I thought he was dead. You know, I thought they're going to shoot him, but they didn't have any noise or anything. And then you see the character, and I was like, oh, maybe he's coming back and he's alive. And then it's one of the guys that says, you know, he's dead. I was like, well, that's even more fucked up. Y'all just toying with me.
Yeah, they did do that intentionally, because I thought it was Cristobal too. I was like, oh, is he coming back?
I think you guys need to upgrade your TVs, because I could tell immediately who that was. So you might want to adjust your settings. Something's going on. They might have intended it, but it was very clear it was that
I got
guy.
the whole LED.
It was
everything.
It was out of focus, dude.
Yes, but you could tell by his gait, and you could tell if you saw that guy earlier, which you did. You saw him earlier, like you could tell exactly who it was. I was like, oh no. So I guess, and I think you're right though. I think that's what they intended, but you could tell right away that it was not Cristobal.
Well, they done faked me out so many goddamn times with him.
I like the little bits of unexpected comedy though, like when the cops pull up and the cop rear ends the other cop.
Right. It was like totally unnecessary, but hilarious. You know? I was like, that's just great. Just throw in some comedy, dude. When she's teaching that girl how to act, and you know she does this great. Yeah, she just gives this great performance. And then like the people there at the acting class are like, that was abusive.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that was abusive, wasn't it?
Oh, no. I thought you were talking about when she was giving the speech, like, do it like this. And then she moved right in front of that other girl and just started doing it. I was like,
yeah. She's like,
go
ahead.
Did you notice the guy that was talking to her afterwards? I forget who he was. Was he her agent, maybe? He was the tall guy's agent. Yeah. Okay, so he was talking to her afterwards. Agent. Yeah. Right. He was talking to Sally afterwards, and he's like, you know, I understand. You know, you try to snipe that part. You can't do that every time. Anyway, I recognize that dude immediately. Anybody recognize that guy? He looks familiar.
Yeah, he looks totally familiar.
he played a character named Emil in RoboCop who got fucking turned into a garbage pail kid, basically.
Oh, he was the toxic guy?
Yeah, that was Emil.
Oh, no shit.
I recognized immediately. I had to look it up. I'm like, is that fucking Emil? I was just so happy to see him. I haven't seen that dude in anything since RoboCop, so I was very happy to see him.
He's aged a little bit.
That's funny that he's a talent scout too, or an agent when he hasn't been in shit or nothing that you've seen.
Yeah, nothing that I've seen anyway. But dude, I'm so glad there's 4 more episodes left.
What happened with the end? Is that a time jump or is that a dream? Or
I think at first I thought it was a time jump when the credits rolled. I was like, is the show over? And then I was like, no, because he always does that when he goes to the beach, like in his mind for all his like fantasies. He's always at the beach, you know. Even all his memories they're always at the beach.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty sure that's just kind of Barry's fantasy. I don't think it's an actual time jump.
That's what I was thinking too, but like, who knows with this show?
Right? Yeah, I could be wrong. Absolutely. That's just my thought on it after seeing it.
Rob, did you think it was fantasy or time jump at the very end of that last episode?
Well, I thought it was ending. I thought it was a time jump. I was like, oh my God, they just ended it. And then I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
So it could be either or. I don't know.
I'm excited for the next episode.
The show's messed up.
If there's 4 more episodes, I don't think it's a time jump.
You think it's a fantasy?
Yeah, you got to finish up. You got to wrap everything up with Kuzuno, and
they could still do a time jump though, and still, you know.
Oh,
yeah, Kuzuno shooting his own son. I was like, oh my God,
he's trying to bring him that tea or whatever.
Yeah, that food from that restaurant he likes.
Yeah.
Oh man, such a great show.
Perfect blend of comedy and drama, man. Like you were right, man. It's so good and
so good.
Funny as hell.
Anybody watching Mrs. Davis? Mrs. Davis?
I watched the first episode. I just
you got it. Oh my God, I watched the one that came out Friday. So fucking hilarious.
Tell me about it. What is this show? I never heard of this.
It's about a nun.
Oh,
she's
you did
in search of the Holy Grail. Yes, the Holy Grail. And there's a computer program that's what Mrs. Davies is a computer. It's like an AI that you listen to it and it tells you stuff. Dude, it's crazy. The show.
That's why I bounced off of it, because to me it's just ludicrous for the sake of being ludicrous.
No.
Yes. No. It is.
You have to watch more goddamn episodes. You cannot.
I don't.
You're
I
like
don't.
The writing is like where
the writing is very. Shit? To me, it's very amateurish because they're relying on tropes as opposed to actual character development.
Here. He's on strike. I forgot. I'm sorry.
I mean, you're allowed your opinion, but it didn't grab me because it's just absurdity for the sake of absurdity. You know, you
have to keep watching. That's all I can.
And that's why it just couldn't. And don't get me. I do like things that do that, like you look at something like Scud the Disposable Assassin. That's an absurd comic, but it sucked me in because it's character design, and just the simplicity of its plot basically. But the whole idea of the nun being on, it's not funny to me. It's not outrageous. I think it's supposed to be outrageous, and it doesn't land as being outrageous as having a nun, like a warrior nun type thing going on. It's not a bad show either. I'm not shitting on it because it moves, but again, it's just, I think they want you to be wowed by all the ludicrous stuff going on, and I'm just not. I'm just focused on the actual happenings, and I'm really? You're just going after the Holy Grail? Like, that's the dumbest MacGuffin ever. Like, it's not. We already did that in Last Crusade, and then the AI thing.
That movie was awesome. What are you talking
about? We covered it. We covered that, and we didn't do it in an absurd way. We did it in a believable way.
So wait a minute. Is the AI it's so smart it's figuring out where the Grail is? I don't understand what's going on.
No, the AI wants her to get the Grail.
Find the Grail.
Yeah.
If she finds the Grail, then the AI will shut itself down because she doesn't like the AI. The AI is responsible for her father's death.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, dude, it's
But
great. You need
I've
to
watched
watch
one episode, and Rob has watched what 5, and we still
4
have
or
the
5.
same. We've reached the same plot point somehow.
No, because it's
I
I
think
can't remember what the first episode tells you. It advances so much, and it's like,
Well,
oh,
where are you at now? Just tell us.
I'm at episode 5.
No, but I mean, like, what's going on in the story?
They have to find Clara, who was the last known person to have the Grail, and her ex husband is with her on the quest, and they're dude, it's crazy. It's
wait,
just
is Clara some old dead person, or is that a
no.
living person? So someone recently has been in contact
Yes.
with the Grail.
Yes.
Interesting.
Is
And
Clara the one they
Vatican's
show at the
involved.
very beginning?
You meet the Pope, who they put it in. Dude, it's great. It's just
So again, he's 5 episodes in and nothing has happened.
I don't want to give any of the twists and turns.
Give it away. Give it away. Who
No,
cares?
because Steve's gonna watch it, and it's
Who
good.
cares? He's not gonna remember.
I do find myself like, oh my god, I can't believe they spoiled that, and I'm like, I totally do forget every time.
But yeah, like I said,
I recommend it highly. I love it.
And
to me, it just relies way too much on outrageous tropes.
You watch one fucking episode, man. You know the pilot.
But you're 5 episodes in, and we have the same description.
Because I don't want to ruin it.
I don't feel like there's anything to ruin.
Okay, well then don't fucking watch it. I don't care. It's not affecting me at all.
We forgot to say spoiler warning before.
Spoilers.
Sorry.
I didn't spoil anything. I'm trying not to spoil it for you, Steve.
No, I meant in the beginning of this podcast. We usually mention that.
Yeah, the Barry thing we definitely spoiled.
Not totally. There's still 4 episodes.
Steve, I recommend you watch it. It's really good.
I'm sure I like it. I like that kind of.
You will.
I
like
love
it,
that
Steve.
kind of mystical lore type thing. MacGyver did an episode with the Holy Grail. It was one of my favorites. So, and of course, Last Crusade.
It's the ultimate MacGuffin, though. You know, it's like if you're going to do a MacGuffin, that is the MacGuffin, and then but that's what I mean. It's a tired trope, though, too. Like, I don't know. It just didn't land with me. And I really like Betty Gilpin as the star. She's fantastic.
She is great in this.
I really
like her in Glow.
I feel like the AI is not going to stick to its word either. I feel like.
Well, here's the thing. It's written by Damon Lindelof, so that should tell you enough right there. That guy never delivers on anything he fucking writes.
What is he? What else does he do?
He worked on Lost. Like he's one of J.J. Abrams' guys who comes up with premises and never fucking delivers on them. So that's why I could just tell it's another thing where it's like, isn't this crazy? And then as you try to wind down towards an actual climax, it's like none of that mattered, did it? Like it was just window dressing because you couldn't write fucking characters in believable scenarios.
So you don't think they're going to find the Holy Grail at the end of this one, Rob? Or
they already found it.
Oh,
I'll tell you that they found it.
Wait,
then what happens?
Mrs. Davies.
This might get me to watch it if you give me some reasons to watch it. Like
I cannot tell you. All I know,
the nun has the Grail.
Huh?
The nun has the Grail.
No, they know where it's at.
Oh, okay.
This last episode.
You said they had it.
There's this. It gets better. There's this guy. I don't know. I don't remember where they showed it. It might have been the first episode where there's a guy on an island that's been, just a guy on an island. The cliche, he's shipwrecked on an island, and I think it was the first episode. And he comes and, when he doesn't know about the AI thing, and they're like, Mrs. Davies wants to talk to you. So he puts it in his ear. Mrs. Davies. Yeah, whatever. I don't know. So now he's in this 5th episode, and you find out about him. You're like, well, why'd they show this guy? Well, now you find out. So now he's telling the story, and he knows where the Grail is. And so now I'm assuming that somehow they got to get it. But we learn about Clara, who was the last known person in the thing. And I'll also tell you that Betty Gilpin's I forget her name. I don't know. The nun. She's actually married to Jesus. So it's very interesting. It's just so
married to Jesus as in
married to Jesus. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. So
like
wait.
I said, it's a lot of outrageous tropes. I didn't know about that. It's just outrageous tropes for the sake of outrageous tropes.
No.
Wait, so you're saying?
Hey, do you remember the Tennessee British Knights?
Yeah.
That's in the story too. It's fucking crazy.
So it's like National Treasure, but no.
Oh no, it's whack.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. How is she married to she married to Jesus?
That's all I'll say about that.
In corporeal form or what?
That's all I'll say about that. You got to watch it.
So not married.
No, literally had a ceremony.
It's a guy named Jesus or Jesus.
They showed a flashback, and Jesus is brown too. He's not.
So
he's
Miss
not
Davis is immortal.
No,
Mrs. Davis is the AI.
Miss Davis is the AI, which really we don't know that much. We haven't gotten into that yet. Really.
Okay.
It's more focusing on the quest.
I don't know, Sean. I'm really intrigued.
It's great. I love it.
I think most people are intrigued by that stuff.
I think
but again, I hate stunt writing though. I hate that. Like when you that's why I like Barry. Barry is so character focused. I love that about it.
The characters are so well developed in this. The two main characters, Wiley and the nun.
And the woman, you can't remember her name.
Yeah, the nun.
Very well developed.
Can't remember her
Very
name.
well developed.
I remember Clara. I don't know why, because I always think Mrs. Davies is her name, but it's not. It's the AI. Yeah. See, I can't even fucking get the name right. You know me. I'm not good with. Can't remember anybody's name.
Oh, let me see your shirt, Steve.
Oh yeah, this is a shirt. It's Steve Wars. This is a shirt Sean got me for my birthday.
Yeah.
Where everyone in the Star Wars universe is named Steve. R2 Steve 2. My favorite is R2 Steve 2, but a close second is Evil Steve. Evil Steve, which is Steve. Darth Vader. Evil Steve. Evil Steve comes out a lot.
I saw that and I was like, I got to get that for Steve.
Yeah,
it's a Steve shirt.
That's awesome. Thank you very much. Love it. And it actually fits too.
Are you on strike, Sean, on writing?
I'm
not a part of the Writers Guild, so.
I heard something today that they were having problems. The writers were clashing on the second season of. Oh shit! I can't think of the name. Not Succession. The other S word that we watch on Apple TV. Severance. I heard they were having trouble coming together and they were having problems, and now there's a writer's strike. So I don't know when the second season of Severance is coming out.
But God damn it, I really like that show.
Yeah, me too. But they were having trouble like deciding which route they were going to go with it.
Have you read anything about like why they're striking?
Yeah.
Man, it's pretty fucked up. They need to strike.
Yeah, I agree with it wholeheartedly.
Like, holy shit. Yeah, I was like, I never thought about that because streaming has effed them, basically.
Yeah, and they're not getting residuals and all kinds of stuff. It's fucked up, man. And that's what corporations do.
You don't think about the syndication now. You know, it doesn't go into syndication like it used to. You know, so that was where a lot of the writers made their money. You know,
right?
I mean, look at Seinfeld. Like, dude, Jerry got rich. I mean, that's what made him all his money was the syndication, you know?
Yeah.
That's why he's driving fancy cars, you know?
And the $1 million an episode, I think, helped too.
Well, at the end, yeah. But
yeah, residuals, syndication, and now streaming. And basically that, they haven't had raises commensurate with inflation and everything, which is which is America right now. That's everyone. And that doesn't make it right. I'm just saying that they're in the same boat, and it's fucked up for everybody that corporations are just hoarding this money,
yeah,
and trying to come up with reasons why they shouldn't give it to the people who actually make it so they can make that money. Because you need those people to make that money. You do. It's just that simple. It's like, it's no different than working in production or whatever. You you need those quote unquote low level people to make those millions and billions of dollars.
I wouldn't
basically
consider writers low level, but yeah,
I don't. That's why I gave the air quotes, because it's fucked up that's how they're viewed. Though they're not producers, they're not directors, they're not actors. So I'm sure the higher ups view them as like almost unnecessary. And I would not be surprised if they're like, we can get AI to write shows. It's like, no, you can't.
I read about that. They're trying to do that.
They're probably fighting for that. Like, hey, look, man, you can't just have chat, whatever it's called, GP, whatever it's called, right?
Well, GPT. After reading about it, I was like, so what's the issue? And I started reading about it, I don't know, about a week ago. And I was like, I never thought about it. Shows used to be 22, 24, episodes long. And, like they still be writing when they've already filmed half and they're still writing for the, later on shows. And now, you think about it, Netflix is 8, 10, it's like fucking BBC now, where you only get like 6 episodes. So, it's like, wow. And then I didn't know that they were like, they don't retain them, like they used to, because, that you write this 10 episodes and that's it. You're done. They used to retain them, for shit. But man, that's crazy.
I feel like the writers are always going to win this one, though, right? Because if they're not creating content, then these studios aren't making money.
Well, it's not about waiting. What honestly happens is eventually there's compromises made.
I mean, there has to be, because these people want to make money,
Right. There's compromises made. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to get everything they want, but hopefully they get something that is equitable and just that makes sense, and hopefully they get at least what they deserve for their hard work.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I really hate, like, as Steve and I were talking about Kathleen Kennedy, or no, it wasn't Steve. It was talking to Logan about Kathleen Kennedy the other day, and just about producers in general and what they do. And from what I understand that they do, and they do have an important role in getting stuff made. It's literally called a producer. They couldn't get stuff made without it. But when it comes to creative input, I think producers perceive themselves to be more valuable than they are. They're supposed to make sure production is running, that they're on schedule, they're on budget, that kind of stuff. And when you see the difference between George Lucas and Kathleen Kennedy, it's like, good God, there's a huge difference between producers and creative ideas. Like I remember thinking the prequel trilogy was fucking terrible. And then I saw the sequel trilogy and I was like, good God, I didn't know it could get worse. Like you get somebody involved who doesn't have a creative thought in their fucking head. That's frustrating.
I'm glad we read this comic too. I mean, it ties right into it.
Dude, like it's funny. I did not remember this. I thought this comic was something complete. I think I confused it with some novels I read. I read the Thrawn.
You probably did, because the novels are really.
Well, I read the Thrawn trilogy, and I reread it probably 10 years ago ish. And so I was thinking Mara Jade was in this. That was she becomes Luke Skywalker's wife at some point in the expanded universe. I thought this was something different than what I remembered it being.
You picked episode 9.
So much.
That's what you picked. I was like, why did Sean pick this one?
No source material. It's like they copied episode 9, but changed the characters because Luke and Han and Carrie Fisher, they're all old now, so they had to do something different. But they basically took it from this comic. It's crazy,
and which is fine. It's good to draw from old source material. However, rereading this story, and again, in light of the most recent trilogy, I think when I read this when it came out, I think it came out in 91, 92. I probably read it in 93, which is when I really was heavy into comics. And I remember getting the collected edition, the trade paperback. And I just thought it was cool as shit. And now I'm just like, ugh, because of seeing how it was
after seeing episode 9.
Well, you can't ever say they didn't take from the source material, though. I mean,
yeah,
but they chose poorly on that one, though, because back then the Emperor coming back didn't really bother me. Now the Emperor coming back. Oh, by the way, we're talking about Star Wars Dark Empire, 6-issue series. one of the first non-Marvel Star Wars comic books. Dark Horse published it back in the early 90s. It was probably the first complete Star Wars comic book story I ever read. And I was just happy to see the characters again, and it felt Star Warsy. You had the big ship battles. They had something different besides a Death Star. They had like those planet killers or whatever they were called.
Devastators.
Yeah, they didn't do another Death Star.
They didn't do Death Stars. They did something slightly different. But again, parallels to Rise of Skywalker, where he had all those super star destroyers, which is kind of similar in a way.
They had the Dreadnought in this one.
Yeah.
Which is,
so the Emperor is a clone, or he clones himself. He's still alive, which is very disappointing when you think about, again, just story based. The Emperor should be dead after episode 6. That's, like, close that door.
Yeah.
But the Emperor's back, driving a wedge between Luke and Leia. I did like the dark Luke Skywalker storyline. I liked all that stuff and him learning about the dark side and everything. And then, so I had to go on Wikipedia afterwards and just look up this whole thing. And just because I was like, man, what did George Lucas think of this at the time? So apparently he wasn't really involved as far as greenlighting the expanded universe stuff. He had someone else doing that, and I forget her name. But I'm trying to see if I can find it here. I have it pulled up on my computer. But so basically, this is a sequel to the Thrawn trilogy, the books. It takes place, I think it said about 6 years after Jedi, and so George Lucas, after reading, stated to Wilson, Lucy Autry Wilson, she's the one who greenlit this, that Palpatine would have never been cloned. And I'm like, that's my George. That's my George. There, you know what I mean? Like, let that character be dead. George Lucas even agreed. And but again, it felt like Star Wars. I didn't really like the coloring on this.
My God, this art was horrible.
Thank you.
This is the only art I've hated, dude.
So flat. I couldn't. Man, it was just like one color every page.
Yeah, it was like looking at the negatives of film, like of your photos you take.
Well, I liked the pencils. I thought the pencils were good. I didn't like the color choices though, and those aren't the same thing.
I couldn't tell the characters apart. Like I was like, is that Luke? Is that Leia? Is that
because the coloring was the same?
Is it?
Sometimes they'd be all brown. Sometimes they'd be all yellow. So you couldn't, all of a
blue,
sudden Han Solo would have yellow
like
hair.
Page would be blue, and it's
it was a weird coloring choice that I do not agree with. I don't know what they were going for. Did not like that. And then
I got
the story,
angry. It was so. I was like, why did I have to keep? I thought it was going to change like after issue 1 or something. I'm like, I have to read the 6 issues of this. I can barely. Lando looks like fucking Leia. I don't fucking know who's who. Like Jesus. Anyway,
the color choices were mind-boggling though. I did not agree.
Too. I mean, nothing popped. It was just like. Hey,
did you notice Boba Fett was in this one, and he's completely useless, just like he is in the show. So I think they took a lot from this comic. This might have been one of their most read comics, according to the shows and the sequels.
Boba Fett's just a fuck, but he's still alive though, just like
he's still alive.
When you look at it, like the choices, like the cloning thing, we've done that.
Yeah,
but like you had like the source material, you had like Luke and Leia and Han had kids. Why not focus on? They focus. They only in the sequels they only did one kid. Why not focus on more kids? You know what I mean? Right. Instead of like totally abstract and relative of Palpatine. I mean it's crazy.
Yeah. And Leia in the comics said that
Luke never got married. Like you got plenty of stories of that, but whatever. I don't know. It's just crazy.
Leia wanted Luke to train her kids too.
Right. And that was in line with, my pitch that I had where Luke was actually training young Jedi.
And he was Luke Skywalker. There was hope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was,
And he's basically trying to sacrifice himself to save the galaxy in this. So, you had that.
Yeah.
You also had him doing a projection of himself, which was, Last Jedi.
Yeah.
It's
amazing.
I was like, that's why I said.
I thought you picked this on purpose.
I didn't. Dude, I haven't read it in 30 years.
I thought you totally picked us on purpose.
Yeah, when they said that projection thing, I was like, holy fuck, that's another thing. I was like, good Lord.
And the holocrons. Too.
Yeah. Well, holocrons have been, they've been around and stuff, but yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I didn't know anything about this holocrons until this.
Well, that was Rebels, right? Movie. Didn't they have them in Rebels?
Oh, yeah.
What were those things called in Rebels?
They did.
Yeah, they had a holocron.
I think I saw the sequels before I watched Rebels, though. So that was the first time ever. I didn't know.
I've heard of holocrons in the game. They might have been in the Thrawn trilogy. I don't remember where I first heard of the holocrons, but it was definitely in the books and stuff. So that wasn't new to me necessarily. But I'd give this comic, though, it's a 6-issue series. I give it like a 2 out of 4. They were trying to recreate Star Wars. Bringing back the Emperor is just never a good idea in comic book form or movie form.
I like how the clones were younger. You know what I'm saying? That made more sense.
Yeah. Yes, it did. Instead of having
why clone an old guy? Would have been a new body. You know what I mean?
And then if you read like the title crawls, it was apparently like a 15-year-old clone. He's like super young, but with obviously all the experience of the Emperor. So that, I agree 100%. It makes way more sense than getting into Ian McDermott's body again.
Like, come on, man. I tell you, I don't know.
Dude, I was totally shocked reading this. I was like, holy shit. I thought they didn't take anything from source material. I was wrong the whole time. They took fucking everything.
But even just reading on that fucking flat-ass colored comic, the dynamic, with the characters was so much better. Yeah. Like just having them interact was just fantastic. Right. I mean, I probably would have gave it a 2.5 if it wasn't for the coloring. You know what I mean? Just because it's so cool having those characters interact. And then, like Leia, like brought Luke back, from it. It was fucking awesome.
And you're right. That was the good stuff. Han, Luke, and Leia interacting, doing, even though, Han was ready to kill Luke because of,
and that was awesome too.
Right.
It's like
it created some real tension between the characters and believable tension too. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that, Leia was Leia. She was like, you have to let me go, Han. He's like, I'm not letting you go. And then it's like, and she went anyway. She didn't
And that is exactly her character,
And that's basically how it was said in the comic. It was basically, it basically said, and we all know Leia went.
But it was instead, like what in the sequels, like they're separated. I mean, come on, man.
Right. Like there's no reason to do that. Dude, this is like essentially a children's property. Okay, so this leads me to something else. This is not your assignment, but I think you guys would dig this. There is a show that it's like a mini series, and they did Star Wars, they did Fast and Furious, they've done The Simpsons, but it's called Icons Unearthed. And the very first one, it's a 6 or 8 episode mini series. It's on Amazon Prime. It's free. Icons Unearthed Star Wars. And I learned a shit ton from this. It's by the Nacelle Company, the guys who did like the toys that made us and the movies that made us. It's those guys.
Oh, awesome.
And it's 6, like I said, 6 or 8 episodes or something. And I learned a lot about Marcia Lucas. And Marcia Lucas was George Lucas's wife back when he was making the original trilogy. And this is kind of the viewpoint they present, but it seems very believable because they interview her, but they interview tons of people who worked on Star Wars, Richard Enland and Phil Tippett, lots of people, not George Lucas, but they get a lot of the people who were there. And basically the gist of a lot of this is that Marcia Lucas was responsible. And you'll see her name in the credits as an editor. She's the one who really edited the original trilogy down and really gave it its heart and soul in the editing room, basically. And when they got divorced, which was like during Jedi, I think, or around Jedi, Return of the Jedi. And then, George Lucas eventually remarried or whatever, but she wasn't there for the prequels is what I'm trying to say. And George Lucas, kind of like James, and I started seeing parallels to James Cameron.
Yeah.
Very obsessed with special effects, pushing technology. Not so much. And he said story is important, but something else I learned is he was very obsessed with Jar Jar Binks. He kept, like, they show these little snippets where he's like, if Jar Jar doesn't work, this whole thing doesn't work. And it's like, well, we saw what happened. But his whole thing, he was obsessed with having a fully computer generated character. And I think that,
which they do all the time now.
Right. They do it all the time now. But back then it was groundbreaking. But it didn't really serve the story ultimately. Mm-hmm. And that was the problem, focusing on that character. But he was like, he really thought Jar Jar was just going to be this huge hit and very popular and everything. And I guess he was popular with kids and stuff, but the majority of the Star Wars audience was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It's because we're fucking 30, you know, we're not 8 anymore.
Right. You know? But I mean, he was trying to, cater to a new generation of fans, which makes sense. But again, we grew up with it. We didn't need the cutesy stuff. Like, I mean, I loved the Ewoks, but that's not why I love Star Wars. I loved, Jedi. I love Darth Vader. I love lightsabers. You know what I mean? I love starfighters and stuff like that. It was, I didn't need, it wasn't about R2 and 3PO. They may have been the comic relief back then. I liked them as well. But, when I was a kid and I thought about Star Wars, it was, speeder bikes, X-Wing fighters, lightsabers, Jedi powers. You know what I mean? Like, it was all this other stuff. Even as a 6-year-old kid, that's what I liked about it.
To what level of involvement did that show suggest that she was a part of?
I've actually...
well, again, she was an editor. And like movies, they say movies are made in the editing room. That's something I've heard or read somewhere where... And I guess like the very first cut of Star Wars was fucking awful. I've heard that many times before this, but apparently when she came in and she edited Jedi too, like apparently she edited like the scenes with in the climax with Vader and Luke.
Oh, wow.
Like all those emotional, heartfelt scenes. That was all Marsha Lucas.
Wow.
Yeah. And so it's, if what they're saying is true, and I don't have any reason to believe otherwise, she was kind of like the heart and soul behind Star Wars. Like, she wasn't the creator of it, obviously. I'm not detracting from what George Lucas created or did or anything, but I think as a team, that's why we got Star Wars.
That might be why Leia and Han are so good too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was essentially, as an editor brought in and she was the one who changed stuff up and edited stuff in a way where it had emotional impact. And
dude, I don't know. I remember in the theater during Empire Strikes Back. I mean, when Luke is hanging there, in the ice, and he fucking Jedi'd that fucking lightsaber into his hand. That was the coolest fucking shit I had ever fucking seen. I can remember just being like, Luke's got powers, man.
Right.
Because that was like that was the first time we got to see him do some Jedi shit, man.
Yeah.
And it was as simple as bringing the lightsaber 2 feet up.
Right, right. It wasn't, he didn't defeat the bad guy or anything like that. It wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't even a bad guy. It was a fucking beast, or, an animal.
The Wampa.
But that, dude, I remember that. That was like the coolest thing. I mean, that was like in the beginning, Ooh.
Yeah. But yeah, so I highly suggest watch. And there's more to the series than that. It's about a lot of the, just behind the scenes production, the struggles to get stuff made on time. And to me, it's Star Wars, obviously. It's like my favorite property. Plus, I like I said, I love behind the scenes anything. I watched that Harry Potter reunion because I just love movies, and even if I'm not a fan of the movie, typically I'm curious about behind the scenes. If there's like special effects, if it's like fantasy stuff, mm-hmm. I'm not curious. Like if it's like Pitch Perfect, I don't really care. But if it's just something in my wheelhouse. So, but yeah, I watched every episode of that. I'll probably rewatch it. But it was cool too because it wasn't produced by Disney or something, so it wasn't just pure fluff the whole time.
Right.
Where ultimately it's basically just an advertisement for Star Wars at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
This thing definitely had an angle. But here's the other thing: the first time I ever really heard of her, Marsha Lucas, was, I don't know, a year or so ago. There was an article that came out where she was just bashing the sequel trilogy. And I was like, I love this woman. I had no idea how involved she was with Star. I knew she was, the article identified her as George Lucas's ex-wife, and she was just bashing the shit out of Force Awakens. Like, I was like, yes. And it just made me happy because, like, I mean, she's a huge part of Star Wars ultimately, and tons of people are. When you watch this, it really does help you realize the scope of how many people had to work on this to make it possible. How many talented people, creating stuff that had never been done before in movies, basically.
I'm curious because as far as I could tell from this comic, I didn't see anything in Force Awakens, that was like this comic we read. So I was like, is there another comic out there that's more like Force Awakens?
No, it was A New Hope. I mean,
right? They basically rip off A New Hope, except by turning Kylo Ren into a puss.
In this comic we read, the Emperor did talk about like messing with Leia's fetus because she was pregnant. So I will turn your son evil. I was like, is that supposed to be Ben?
Here's the thing with Kylo Ren. And I do remember this again. This was either novels or comics. I get them all confused. Again, it's been like 30 years since I was deep into this stuff. But the Solos did have a kid named Jacen Solo. And I think, did they have twins? I thought they had twins. But anyway, Jacen Solo goes evil, right, basically. So Kylo Ren's could be kind of based on Jacen Solo.
Okay. Because they had, in this comic, it was 3 kids, and you're saying in other comics it was just 1, and they just...
Well, I think they had twins, and then they maybe had another kid, but I don't remember. Maybe Luke had twins. I don't fucking remember. I know Luke had a kid named Ben. The Solos had Jacen, and they had Anakin. I can't remember. I thought there was a sister too, but my memory's not great. So feel free to weigh in if you know.
So you're saying you're happy they used source material, but you're sad that they used it incorrectly? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not even happy they used source material. I don't even care about that at this point. I just wanted a good story. It wasn't even it was more like reading this. I was like, holy crap, maybe somebody did come to the table. And then to me, that almost reeks of desperation, where you resort to old material at that point instead of planning shit out from, episode 7.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, episode 9, you're going back to the expanded universe.
7, 8, 9, they're like totally different movies. They're all It's like there was. It is like the theme. Like it's like what
who the main characters are changes throughout the movies. Who the main villain changes throughout the movies. Like it's so bad. It's just it's all bad.
That's why I thought, because I was thinking the same thing you were thinking when I was reading this. I was like, because all the shit they took after episode 8, I was like, oh, because we were all clamoring like, you take something from the source material or something like that, and I was like, did they do that purposely? They just went back.
I was thinking of the Thrawn trilogy in specific, because that's something I really remember enjoying was the Thrawn trilogy. But
you're not the only one. Everybody loved that.
But the issue with that though is the Thrawn trilogy basically takes place right after Jedi, so it's kind of hard. But you could still take elements from it, and you could have had Thrawn be the main villain or something.
The main thing about the sequels that they fucking failed on is they didn't have the 3 together, and they fucked it up from the beginning. And it would that is what ruined the sequels. If you're gonna bring them back together, because that's what we loved. We didn't.
Well, I've heard. I know, Rob, you were talking about Picard and how they were able to provide fan service in a way that people, and I've seen like I've seen some headlines basically on like the nerdy sites I visit that fans seem really happy with how the 3rd season of Picard went. They said it seems like seasons 1 and 2 weren't necessarily loved, but everybody loved season 3 and they loved the fan service. It was an appropriate level of fan service. It wasn't like crazy stupid.
Yeah.
Well,
it made
the audience happy.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm at. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I want is you could have easily tied it in. And again, I just wanted a 5-minute scene with the 3 of them together. Yeah. That would have made me happy as shit. Just that would have salvaged Force Awakens to an extent if they would have just brought those 3 together. That's
where they fucking killed it. That's where it all went to shit. And even if it was just the first movie, I mean,
that's what I mean. Like even if they were like, if we could have just had that reunion, that would have meant a lot to everyone, to just see those 3 together, and not necessarily in a but in a casual way almost before all hell. In my whole pitch, they are together, they're hanging out, having dinner, and then all hell breaks loose when the Sith terrorist cells all show up and start invading and everything.
Yeah, because they're all old, so you can't. It's not like you get the great action scene, which I really enjoyed in this comic. Like seeing Leia and Luke go back to back against the Emperor, I was like, oh hell yeah,
yeah.
Like with Han and Chewie on the ship with that whatever weird eyeballed alien that was cool. That was like. That's Chewie and Han doing their thing. But then you totally ignore Luke and Han and Leia. And it's sad. It's just fucking sad. And now Carrie's dead. And yeah, it's done. It's over.
Thanks, Ryan Johnson.
Well, we did get CGI Luke in The Mandalorian. So that was pretty sweet.
Oh, yeah, that was awesome.
We can do some CGI shit.
But even like Mark Hamill and Last Jedi, I mean, that was cool,
It was cool,
even
but it was
wasn't there. He wasn't.
That's what I mean. That's what made it lame.
Yeah,
is that he didn't. I mean, it was an ultimate sacrifice, but also
Mark didn't lose all that weight for nothing.
Well, again, they could do the same thing they always do: throw in a stunt. Somebody throwing the stunt man, change the lighting. And it's Luke Skywalker, that's all it is. And
when he was using his Force Ghost or whatever it is in this comic, he was just walking around. It's not like it wasn't a giant battle like the movie.
Right.
It wasn't the climax of anything. It was like a parlor trick almost. It was just like, well, I didn't want to go with you guys, so I pretended I did.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Like, how angry were you when you noticed he was a hologram or whatever? You're like, no.
I was like, holy shit. Again.
I noticed, I don't remember exactly, but I just remember thinking, like, why isn't he using his lightsaber?
Yeah.
And I didn't know what was going on. I'm not going to pretend I was like, oh, it's a force projection.
I didn't know, but I was like,
I was just like, why isn't he? But at the same time, I was like, oh, is he not using his lightsaber for story reasons because he doesn't want to kill Kylo Ren?
I thought he was just toying with him. Yeah.
Right. But
I did notice he wasn't using it. They weren't clashing,
There was no clashing, right?
Right.
He was just dodging the whole time. And it was just so disappointing.
I said, I think I've only watched that at the theaters. That was the only time I've sat through that entire movie. It's insane.
Yeah.
I can't do it. It's so dumb.
I think I was like, ooh, look at the pretty red sand.
Well, then the whole thing with her saving what's his name? I don't even know the characters. It's so goofy.
Oh yeah, when Rose saves Finn or whatever, and you're just like, am I supposed to care? Because I don't know. Like, when he died, I was like, whoa. When I thought he died, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool, man. He made the ultimate. Oh no, he didn't. I was like, come on.
No stakes.
Right. No stakes. No limb amputations. Like, that's the hallmark of and this comic had
nobody lost an arm.
Right. Somebody's got to lose a fucking limb, man.
Yeah. Even in the comic, he lost the arm again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Didn't he? That's what I mean. Didn't he chop off the Emperor's arm in this comic?
Chopped off the Emperor's arm.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
There's always, and in the prequels, you had Anakin taking off Dooku's arms. You had Obi-Wan taking off Anakin's everything. Like, you always had some limb amputation going on in these fucking things.
Yeah.
Like, it's an essential part. And to just have this hero who comes in and she's just basically invincible. It's like, I don't think you understand the hero's journey here. She's supposed to have a journey. She's not supposed to be on top at first. And again, the only hero I can think of that doesn't have actual character progression that everybody still likes is Marty McFly. Like, he's just Marty McFly throughout. He doesn't learn a goddamn thing. I think he does eventually learn not to get in a fight when someone calls him chicken, but I don't even know if that's true.
No, I don't. I was gonna say, I heard manure.
But yeah, he basically has no character. He learns nothing the entire 3 movies, and we're like, that's fine. Like, it's just, we like Marty McFly. You just like that guy. But everybody else, you're like, come on, man, you got to have some character progression. You got to start from the bottom and work your way up.
Maybe it's like, well, we've done the limb thing so many times. No, we always love watching limbs get cut off.
Right.
Always.
Like, oh shit! But if they did do it, they would have done it backwards, and she would have hacked off Kylo Ren's arm. We'd be like, God damn it! No, the heroes have to get their limbs hacked off, not the villains.
their first battle together, Kylo Ren's got no arms and no legs.
Right. And she's never even seen a lightsaber before. And that's so stupid.
I picture her like that meme, where like Luke's looking down the barrel of the lightsaber, and then they just show it going on and through his head or whatever.
What this do?
What this do?
But yeah, when you bring your villain in to fight your young hero and he gets his ass kicked, you're just like, okay, so if the villain gets his ass kicked by somebody who doesn't know what the fuck they're doing, then he's not a formidable villain, now is he? It's just that simple.
Reading this, I was just like, there's so much out there that I have no idea. I was just like, I had no idea that this happened in the Star Wars. It's not considered canon, right? So
no, they wiped all that away when Disney bought it. Some of it used to be, dude. There's a great story, and it was tied into a video game. The first there was a video game on the Xbox 360 called Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, and it was about. And then again, this was pre-Disney, so it was actually considered canon for a minute. Darth Vader had a secret apprentice named Starkiller, which you probably know. Starkiller was what
the base.
Luke. Well, no, they used that name, but Starkiller came from like
Skywalker. It
right,
was original
early drafts of Star Wars. It was like Deke Starkiller. But anyway, so he has a secret apprentice named Star that he calls Starkiller, and it's a really cool story about. And he's a secret apprentice because he keeps him from the Emperor. He doesn't want the Emperor to know that he's training somebody in the ways of the Sith. But basically, he had kidnapped this kid when he was young, starts training him as a Sith and stuff. Really cool story. Yeah. And I'm just like, man, that would have been a cool episode 7 if the villain was Darth Vader's secret apprentice, like that we didn't know about. Like, I would have been okay with that. There's a lot of stuff that I've read not even a quarter of it. There's tons of books, comic books that they made, and like I said, I couldn't keep up with all of it. But there's a lot of good stories out there, and to see Force Awakens be what they come up with was just like, what the fuck is wrong with you idiots? All these great villains like Thrawn, and you just do this fucking.
Well, at least they're bringing Thrawn into Disney Plus.
What are the two guys that wrote Winter Soldier and Endgame? Christopher Marcus or something. Can you imagine if those two guys did?
Right.
Did us,
and they wrote all 3 of the Captain America movies.
Yeah,
it's like right. Marcus McFeely and I forget what their names are, but I know you're Christopher Miller or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys like that, or just people in general who, love Star Wars. Again, Dave Filoni would have been great.
Yeah.
Just bring in Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
He did a great job with Clone Wars. He did a great job. Like I started rewatching Rebels the other. I only got through like 1 episode, but Rebels is so good because Rebels is, in a way, it's the cast of Star Wars. You know, it's.
Yes.
But it's also Firefly, like they're smugglers. They're always on the run. Funds are always running low. They're always desperate for work. They're always, everything's by the seat of their pants, basically. You got the older Jedi training the young kid. You got the fantastic pilot. You got, Sabine Wren as a Mandalorian, little, different. You got Chopper. You got Chewbacca basically with Zeb. It's so great.
They introduced the spinning lightsaber. Don't they do that in Rebels?
Was that Rebels? I don't remember. I get Rebels and Clone Wars.
I thought they introduced the Inquisitors in Rebels.
That was Rebels.
Okay, I don't remember. So
yeah,
but
I like how they aged Ezra too at the end.
Yeah,
it to advance the story.
Right. And Kanan Jarrus too. Like he. Yeah. Losing his eyesight and everything, like stuff actually happened to those characters. What a great little series.
I can't wait to see Ezra, dude.
Yeah, he's the one. Sean introduced me to Rebels, and he I think you had watched like the first season or something. And then,
I only watched like a few maybe I did watch the first season.
But you told me about it, and I was like, oh yeah, I got to watch it. So then I started watching it, and then I cracked out on it, watched like everything, and Sean's still on like episode 5, like a year later. And I'm like, I gotta talk to somebody about this. It's so good.
And I didn't watch it until after both of you watched it.
Yeah, I just gave up talking about it.
That's classic ADHD brain. I just, I don't know. I got distracted. I saw something shiny, forgot about the other shiny thing.
Well, you were right. I mean, it was great.
Oh, it was so good, man. Like overall.
Yeah. So you're gonna finish it? You gonna go finish the whole thing, or?
I mean, I've watched the whole thing.
No, I mean, are you gonna run through it again?
He's trying to, but he might not.
Yeah. Again, I keep getting distracted by stuff. I'm excited. I do want to at least rewatch the last season, if nothing else, because there's a lot of great stuff in there.
Before Ahsoka comes out.
Before Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Because, this Ahsoka could be Rebels season 5 in a way, with all the characters they're bringing back.
Sean's going to try and finish it, but he might watch RoboCop like 3 more times before he...
Yeah.
I will probably watch... I watched Empire Strikes Back last night. I almost went to the theater this week to go see Return of the Jedi. I ultimately did not go, but Jedi's back in theaters.
I didn't know I knew it was coming out. I didn't know it was out now, though. Fuck.
May the 4th be with you.
Oh, dude, I'm fucking going. Oh, shit.
We'll go soon, because I don't know how much longer it's going to be in theaters. But obviously it's still the special edition version, but I also just watched Return of the Jedi like twice last week. So. And I have the original, I have the theatrical cut on Blu-ray. So I watched that one.
We made it through, the whole family made it through a quarter of episode 2 and they were enjoying it. We just it was late, so they had to go to bed. It was a school night. Yeah. But everybody enjoyed it. So I was like, all right, cool. We'll continue this another day.
I watched both the current edition of Jedi and I watched the original, and it occurred to me at the end of Jedi when they have the Force Ghosts with Yoda and Obi-Wan and Anakin, and in the new version they swap out Anakin for Hayden Christensen.
Yeah. Right.
That makes no sense ultimately, because Luke would be like, who the fuck is that guy? You know what I mean? Like he wouldn't recognize him. He would not know who that is.
Yeah.
He has his only frame of reference is the Sebastian Shaw version that he saw at the end of Jedi. That's it. It's such a stupid add-on. And I was telling Logan about it too, because he was like, so when you saw the special editions, was that in there? I was like, no, because the prequels weren't out yet. So in 97, when we went and saw all the special editions, it was still Sebastian Shaw. It still had that lame ending without the Ewok music, but
so why would
he added that?
Why would
2004?
Why would you do that then? Why put Hayden Christensen in?
So stupid.
If it makes no sense, then
it makes zero sense, man.
Then why do it?
Yeah, it's so frustrating, because I have nothing but love and respect for George.
Prime? You know what I mean? So, why didn't Ben go to his prime in the Force Ghosts?
Right.
If you're going to add that, then add
Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor, yeah.
Right. It doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't make, because the realistic version would be like, who's that? Like, I know Yoda, I know Ben. I don't know who that guy is.
Well, they did it with Ben. I mean, they were doing it when they died. So they looked like when they died.
Right.
Anakin didn't die. He was almost dead.
Such frustrating, stupid, pointless changes that don't enhance the story. They actually make the movies worse. That's what's so weird to me. Like, and again, Marcia wasn't around.
I was just about to say, should have had Marcia. Marcia
wasn't there, man. But she was a crucial part of Star Wars, an unsung part of Star Wars that apparently had a huge impact that we didn't know about, that I didn't know about, and it's a shame.
I think I saw her interviewed. Like, I've only seen her a couple times, and I think it was on that Disney one where they brought her in, but and maybe it was another one. I don't know, but you don't hear that much about her.
You don't, and I guess George Lucas
was like the first time I knew she was like, I knew about her. Like,
well, I remember seeing her name in the credits. I just never really thought about it. I don't know. I remember seeing her name in the credits, but never gave it much thought. And I guess George Lucas has not talked to her since they got divorced. Man.
Really?
That's a dick
things
move. Went badly. Things did not go down well.
Who wants to talk to their ex anyway?
I mean, that's true.
Can't blame the guy.
Right. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but man, she was essential to Star Wars.
Yeah. Why would you talk to her, especially when she was the creative mind behind Star Wars? Just speculation. Just kidding. Yeah, so I guess we need to stop reading Star Wars stories, or what? that's
well, we need to read one a little more colorful.
So, well, there's.
Last time I went to the comic store, the newer Star Wars comics looked a lot better than this one.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
This was like I thought I was reading a 1940s version of Star Wars. So I was like, good Lord.
Yeah, I'm with you
that was
guys.
A weird artistic choice, man.
I can't give this one a 3. It's a 2 for me too.
Yeah. No, I actually did want to start because there are canon comic books now that have come out since Disney started. Like the first run takes place right after the end of A New Hope, and it's kind of like what happens between A New Hope and Empire. So I thought maybe we could read maybe the first 6 issues of that at some point, not necessarily right now. But I haven't read that whole arc, but I liked what I read of it. And the art is gorgeous in it. I have it hanging up on the wall over here. That's why I'm looking over here.
Can you hear my dog bark?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can hear the birds too.
It's fine. Just make sure you didn't fall in the pool, please.
Everybody thinks you like work at the zoo or something.
I'm in here.
Make sure he didn't have a seizure and fall in the pool, please.
Would you? I know this sounds mean, but would you just euthanize your dog at some point? I would. I'd be like,
only if they
night.
It depends on their quality of life. If their quality of life was going downhill and they were clearly in pain, then yes, but not.
I mean, that dog has seizures multiple times a day.
My dog
is that not pain?
He's senile now. Yeah, I'll take him outside because he doesn't like to be outside by himself.
That's what I'm saying. Like at what point?
He's always done that. It was fine. I can live with that. But he knows I'm outside. Like, so I'll go back by the pool and I'll be like, he knows I'm back by the pool. Now, after 10 seconds, he forgets I'm back by the pool, goes to the door and starts barking. I'm like, you stupid senile dementia dog.
Hey,
I'm out here.
You can't call him stupid if he's senile.
He can't hear, so I got to walk all the way, get like 10 feet from him, yell, Mario, and he looks and he's like, hey, how you doing? And he'll run back with me, and then like 20 seconds later, he forgets I'm back there, and dude, the poor guy fell in the pool twice. Like,
I warned you about this when I was down there. I told you he's gonna have a seizure by the pool. He didn't have a seizure.
Up, he can't see or hear anymore, and he fucking.
You gotta take. So yeah, dude, putting down a dog would be devastating to me under any circumstances. Whether it's
he's still got some.
That's what I mean. Like if his quality of life is still okay, yeah, he's going through the same stuff any old person does. He's losing his senses, maybe some dementia, but
he's losing his
still
sight,
eating.
Like, yeah.
If he's still eating and not in pain, then absolutely not. Like, dude, it would be so hard to euthanize.
He's just like me. Rob, he's losing his sight. He's losing his hearing.
Like I say, it's just like an old person. You don't.
We can still eat. We still eat.
He eats, has a seizure, falls in the pool. That's his daily routine.
He hasn't had a seizure in a long time. Now that you jinxed
quality of life, not good.
But no, that's what you could tell if an animal's in pain, and typically by their behavior and whatnot. But dude, euthanizing a pet, like, dude. So I don't like cats, but when we euthanized Ash, I fucking cried. I didn't even like her, but I was still upsetting. Like I didn't even really like, but it's very upsetting to get rid of a pet.
If he's in pain, I will not hesitate because I watched my cats and I just, and
that's why we euthanized Ash,
who was a pain in the ass. And then the last 3 years of Phil's life, she was like the most lovable cat. And I just couldn't put her down and took her to the vet. And then a month later, it was, and I was like, I can't live. I can't let these,
Yeah.
If he's in pain,
it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking. It's absolutely not something you want to do just because they're stumbling around and don't hear and can't see.
Dogs
rely on their nose more than anything.
Yeah.
Like we rely on our eyes, they rely on their nose. That's like their number one sense, basically.
He can still smell it.
being blind is not that big of a deal for a dog, basically. I mean, when you have a pool, it is. Rob, please do something about that. But
put up a fence.
I watch them now. I go back with
yeah.
him. He hadn't done it. I think after.
Where is he right now? Because I just watched him walk towards the pool.
He's inside.
He's going for a dip. He doesn't know it, but he is.
Here we go,
dude. When Mario dies, I will probably cry. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah,
like that's not even my dog. I love
he's
dogs.
A good little dog.
I think I've cried at all my pets, all of them.
Mario's so sweet. Like I love Mario.
The only one I didn't cry.
Laid back Pomeranian too. I mean,
he's just like, sweet.
Oh, they're spastic.
Yeah, no, he's friendly.
Just like, hey man, what's up? He's like, been smoking weed his whole life.
He's very cool. He's a great little puppy. All right, so we covered everything. How long have we been? Hour and 15. I guess we could probably wrap it up unless there's something you guys want. The Dune trailer came out today. Anybody watch?
When
Dune
is that coming out?
Nope.
November.
Didn't see.
Oh Jesus, that's way too early to. I don't care.
It looks fantastic.
Is it going to the same? Is it going to be on Max or is it going to be?
No, it's being in theater.
It will be in the theater.
It was only on Max because of COVID.
Yeah.
Right. That was the only reason. So yeah, this is a theatrical release. I will be going to see Guardians 3. Are you going this weekend? When are you guys going to see that?
Fuck yeah, dude. I want to go. Rob doesn't want to go right quick, but I fucking want to go.
I think I'm going to go like Monday or Tuesday, probably next week is when I plan to go.
Don't turn on your phone for the weekend, Jesus.
So, well, I've done a pretty good job.
I do too, but sometimes something will slip in. I'm like, motherfucker.
I have unfollowed so many like nerdy sites, like comic book resources and stuff. I just unfollowed them because they'd have a headline that was like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
The movie's been out for 20 minutes.
That's not necessary.
Give me a second. Yeah, and just a
headline, dude, and then it'll say spoiler alert. I'm like,
right.
You don't have to say that in the headline and then put spoiler alert. Assholes.
You need.
Well, dude, I remember this.
You have a bad news feed. Whatever yours is, it's like complete spoilers.
Rob's is terrible.
Yeah.
So I will never forget this. Living in Memphis with you guys, 1999. I went to Best Buy all the time, probably with Steve, sometimes without Steve. I loved going to Best Buy, looking at movies, games, and CDs. And I was looking at CDs. They had like that new release end cap. And they had the Phantom Menace soundtrack, and I had to look at it, and it was this was like weeks before the movie was released. And I look at it, and there's I don't remember the exact name of the song, but it was basically called Qui-Gon's Death. Like, I was like,
oh my God. I
gotta look it up now.
Are you fucking serious?
I will find the name of the song because it gave it away. And like I said, it was probably about 2 weeks before the movie.
You didn't even know who Qui-Gon was.
Well, I think I did because, you've seen the trailers and you read stuff here and there.
You did a good job because you'd never told me.
I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want to ruin it for anybody.
Right. But I don't ever remember you saying it because we saw it together. We were down here.
I didn't want to ruin anybody else to be spoiled. So let me see. Anakin's theme. He is the chosen one. Qui-Gon's noble end. What the fuck? Like, why you do that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what? That's like I said, it's basically called Qui-Gon's Death. Like, why did you? And like I said, I'm just looking at the CD because I'm just excited about anything Star Wars and new. And I turn it over and I'm just like, ugh. Come on.
The title is Qui-Gon stabbed by Darth Maul.
Qui-Gon stabbed by Darth Maul before Obi-Wan cuts Darth Maul in half. Like, but like, how fucked up is that? I'll never forget that shit, dude.
The funeral of Qui-Gon. 1 minute and 18 seconds.
Is that in there too? I just saw the.
Yeah.
Let me see.
No,
Qui-Gon's noble end.
Death of Qui-Gon and surrender of
Qui-Gon's funeral.
Yeah.
I think it's yeah. But yeah, Qui-Gon's noble end. That's what got me. And I literally just put it down because I was just like, okay, you gonna spoil anything else for me? But yeah, they put that on the shelf before the movie came out, and I was just like, oh, I can't believe that wasn't a bigger deal. I know I'm not the only person that happened to, obviously. I feel like, but this was, the internet was still young-ish, so you didn't have the outrage. But man, I feel like nowadays that would be, if you went and looked at the Guardians 3 playlist on Spotify, and it's like Rocket Raccoon's noble end, and you're just like, come on, like people would be furious.
Well, now you don't have to worry about going to Best Buy because they don't have any CDs or movies on the shelf. So.
That's what you get, Best Buy. I blame Best Buy. Like they could have put a sticker over that.
That place is like empty. I mean, it's like you just do an online order because it's in the back somewhere because nobody knows where it's at.
Yeah, I thought we enjoyed episode 1 when it first come out.
We did, except for Jar Jar. Like Jar Jar was a huge point of contention, but immediately.
But like it didn't kick in till like we actually thought about the movie. Like we were so caught up in Darth Maul and everything, and Duel of the Fates and all that.
Qui-Gon was awesome.
And then
here's how I remember it: is basically we were just so excited to see a new Star Wars movie that after about 2 weeks after that wore off, it was kind of like, the fuck was that? Trade disputes? You know what I mean? Like some sort of lizard rabbit person going Misa. I think we at first we focused on the positive, but I do remember being like, I really hated Jar Jar, and I remember we saw it the second time, and I convinced myself the second time I was like, he's not that bad. He's not. I remember telling my like, it's not that bad.
It got worse,
and then like you get real with yourself, and you're just like, what the fuck? I don't. What just happened? That didn't feel like Star Wars at all.
Uh-huh.
There's always
the Darth Maul thing.
They had some great stuff. We got the droid with the fucking droideka. We got the droid with the shield. We had some pretty cool lightsaber scenes. I mean,
well, here's the thing: Darth Maul alone and that whole Duel of the Fates scene, as poorly edited as it was, they kept cutting to other stuff. The
music,
it was still that scene alone. The music was better than anything in Force Awakens. Because it made up for it. When I remember watching the trailer, and they have that meme where they show like Joe Rogan and whoever freaking out when they show Darth Maul and he's holding the lightsaber and the one blade is out and then the second blade comes out. And Joe Rogan's like, oh my god, that's an accurate meme. Like that's not even hyperbolic. That's how we were when the trailer came out. We were just like, holy shit. And
double lightsaber. What?
Double lightsaber. This dude looks cool. Like everything about it was so much cooler than anything that happened in Force Awakens that to me, it's much more watchable just because of that scene alone.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he is the look of Darth Maul and,
yeah. And then finally
the lightsaber sequences were so fast. The fighting, like it was nothing we'd ever seen. We got Obi-Wan blocking an attack behind his back with the lightsaber. Right. We're like, holy shit! And then I watched it again. I'm like, this could have gone on longer. It ended, and like you said, they kept cutting away to Queen Amidala. It's like nobody gives a shit.
They kept cutting to her and to fucking Anakin and his fucking.
Oh, that's right.
This is pod racing. It's like no one cares. No one cares about. So poorly conceived, but
I just snuck into this heavily fortified fucking building with my one ship.
It was very geared towards kids, and but again, just that scene it's up there as a great Star Wars moment. One dude, a 3-person lightsaber duel, and our first dual lightsaber scene like that. That's a standout moment, and then Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, Yoda
go off, dude. Like.
Yeah.
That was
like to me that was amazing. A lot of people hated that, and I just loved it. I love seeing Yoda go the fuck off, man. I clapped. I remember I was like,
oh my god, dude! I remember I was on vacation when I saw we were at Myrtle Beach, and I saw it, and everybody fucking got up and was clapping and saying,
"Yeah,
holy shit!" It was an amazing moment. You just didn't get those in the sequels, man.
No, there's no moments like that in the sequels at all. Like I can't, like the coolest thing I could think of is when Kylo Ren stops that blaster bolt. That's like the coolest thing that I remember. It
started great. I was like, wow. And then
it was very short-lived.
A whiny wuss.
Yeah. Like, no, don't take your helmet off. Don't take it. Oh, he took it off.
Oh, man. And he's keeping it off.
Yeah. What's that all about?
All right,
manhandled in the woods. The same guy that stopped the blaster.
Right. He got manhandled by 2 people who had never used a lightsaber.
Right.
Because I think Finn fucked him up before somebody hit him. But again, if he was a formidable villain, he would never got hit the first time. I think did he get hit by a blaster. What do you get hit? Because I remember he was wounded. He was wounded when he was fighting Ray, and that was people's excuse for like, well, yeah, but he was wounded. It's like, yeah, but if he was a badass, he wouldn't have got fucking wounded. You remember when fucking in Empire, when they're on Bespin, and Lando's like, oh, I just made a deal that'll hopefully keep the Empire out of here forever. And they walk in, Vader's standing there, stands up at the end of the table. Han pulls out his blaster, and Vader's just like, nope. He's just like, I will not be shot today. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's a badass villain. He's just like, I'm not getting shot by your puny blaster. You're primitive.
And that was when Boba Fett was still cool too.
When Boba Fett was still cool and had a gravelly voice.
I was reading this comic. I was like, oh my God, he is completely useless again. he's fucking up. But I had no idea there was a Boba Fett story.
And they said
I had no idea he got out of the
Sarlacc pit. Like,
well, again, there's a lot of books. There's a lot of books about Boba Fett, and that's what I mean. Like in the expanded universe, it was just a given that he got out of the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
So that was not. But this comic book also felt like they were trying to just throw in stuff we already knew as opposed to creating new characters, which was fine. It was the first.
They didn't show him in the BAFTA tank though. Oh my God!
Yeah, at least
that's all I remember from that series. He's in the tank.
And back to Boba Fett, back to Fett. He's just always in the fucking
tank. The tank.
Back to
all right, so the movie I got a movie picked out. It is
RoboCop.
It is. It's called RoboCop. No, it's called American Splendor. Have you heard of it?
I've heard.
I've heard of the title. I don't know what it's about.
All right, it's on HBO Max. It's called American Splendor, and it's about Harvey Pekar, a comic book artist. Or no, I'm sorry, comic book writer, not an artist, comic book writer, Harvey. But also, since his comic books were based on his life, this is also a comic book movie because this movie is based on his comics. But his comics basically are an autobiography.
It's a movie or a documentary?
It's a movie.
Oh, cool.
It's not a documentary. It's a movie.
Okay.
I think you guys will dig it. But yeah, it's called American Splendor. It is on, and that's the name of the comic too, is American Splendor. It's on HBO Max. Check it out. Paul Giamatti is the plays Harvey Pekar.
Oh yeah, okay.
So,
all right, that sounds interesting.
Oh, Giamatti.
So, all right, that's all I have. You guys have anything you want to add?
Nope. Adios,
all right,
muchachos.
Ciao.
Thanks for listening.